All right. Well, I think we should start this off, Cal. What do you think?
Yeah, take it away.
Great. Well, everyone, welcome to our Q2 2022 analyst call with Decentral Games, the Decentral Games founders and leaders of the team here there at Decentral Games. We got Miles and Ryan. How are you guys doing, Miles? Ryan?
Hey guys, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us here. Definitely doing well.
Glad to hear it. I'm Alex, Alex Nardi, a researcher at Messari, and I have my co-host here.
I'm Cal. I'm also a researcher at Messari and happy to be here.
Yeah, so it was a really exciting quarter for a lot of reasons, good and bad, for all of the crypto industry, and but something that we've come to understand and expect, and especially the two of you have been through a few bull and bear markets, so uh, it's uh, great to have both of you here to talk the results, which the report came out a couple days ago. If everybody hasn't had a chance to take a look at it, we'll post the link, and it's free to everyone to view. So I think we could just kick it off by talking through a few questions we had. We were showing a few graphics that we had within the report. The first graphic that we were
Alex, I think we might have lost you here. Are you guys hearing him?
I don't
I'm not
hear
hearing
Alex,
anything.
but I hear you, Cal. Maybe we
You're
can-
Yeah, I
hearing
think we
me?
might have lost Alex.
All right, well, we'll let him sort that out. I'll take it from here. So the first question that
shown,
oh, is it
or
back?
that was in the report, was the ice poker ecosystem. And what I really like about this diagram is
Oof. Alex, we cannot hear you. You're breaking up, fortunately.
Here, let me shoot him a quick message real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, all right. So I resent him the link, so he should be coming back in somewhat shortly. Okay. Well, he also had the slides, but I'm sure you guys know enough about the ecosystem to answer the questions without without having the slides up. So, first question we really wanted to ask is: there's been a couple of different like token syncs that you guys have implemented to try and address different sources of inflation throughout throughout the protocol. So between like the Polygon node, which you guys have, to my understanding, you've turned on a bit of the commission to use that to, buy back and burn ICE tokens. Between that, the wearable activation fees, and also using ICE for minting new wearables, which of those three do you guys feel has had the greatest impact so far, or the greatest impact that you'll see going forward?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You want to take that one,
go ahead,
Miles?
Ryan. Yeah, you can take it.
Yeah. So while dropped off, while one of these ecosystems is growing, you have a lot of new dollars coming in via these mints. And so, unlike some other projects that have a breeding component, say Axie is the prime example, where if the burn and earn are out of whack, there's no mechanism to stop the increase in the supply of the NFTs and therefore the token. We actually stopped minting new wearables about 3.5 months ago and focused on, once we had capped that emission of tokens, how do we bring up both the spending within the ecosystem of ICE and then external components like advertising deals with partners like MasterCard and Tyson Foods, switching a lot of the components like secondary sales and activation fees to burn ice, and as you mentioned, the Polygon nodes. So I think that actually the largest thing that's helped us get back into balance has been just having that lever that we could stop minting new items, whereas a lot of other protocols just see that continue to inflate, and then routing token sources towards routing revenue sources towards buying and burning ice. Out of those, advertising has been the largest.
How do you see that progressing? Because, right now you mentioned advertising being the largest, which I honestly, that's like surprising me in a good way, because I feel like the ecosystem of players has only scratched the surface of its potential. So do you see that being big for the protocol in general, or how are you thinking about it?
Yeah, definitely. So it's been interesting to see the amount of appetite that kind of these large Web2 brands have for targeting metaverse users. It's actually something that we didn't really anticipate being so large quite yet, just given the fact that we're around 6,000 daily active players currently. But yeah, with the likes of MasterCard and Tyson Foods and several other partners going to be announced soon, they do have this appetite to target the metaverse user base, and given the fact we're 60% of Decentraland traffic, which is the most populated metaverse currently, we're the perfect partner for them to partner with to target these users. So yeah, it's been great to see. I think it'll continue to grow as we scale our user base. Absolutely. But really, all these kind of token burn mechanisms that we've implemented over the last quarter, throughout Q2 essentially, are mainly just to kind of hold us over. And as Ryan said, in the meantime, stopping minting new wearables, so our supply of NFTs remains constant, so that we can really kind of roll out these three main initiatives to establish a much more sustainable ecosystem for ice poker. And the three of them kind of being, obviously we'll probably get into each one in more detail on this call, but they are Ice Poker Flex, which is our mobile products, kind of more accessible gameplay, both from desktop and mobile. Ice Poker SNG, which is tournament mode. So, people actually having to burn ice to participate in these tournaments. So it's going to be a net deflationary game mode. And then finally Delegation V2, which is essentially moving us from like a play to earn or play and earn to like a play and own essentially. And we can definitely dive into more detail on each one of these points, but I would say my point is like all of the token burns that we've implemented over Q2 are mainly just to put us in a position so we can deliver on these three items, which we think will basically be able to organically drive token burning. So then at that point, once we kind of reach maturity with these three initiatives going live over the next quarter, in Q3, we'll be in a position where we don't need to allocate, all of our protocol revenue, Matic rewards, advertising revenue, et cetera, to buying and burning ice. So those mechanisms are kind of strictly, meant to be temporary as we can establish these kind of more organic and community-led initiatives that burn the tokens, without our intervention.
Yeah, that's really interesting because, like you said, advertising has been somewhat large. It has a lot of potential to grow, and the revenue that you're getting from it, it has potential to go to other uses as you introduce. Like the next topic we were going to get into is actually going to be the sit and go tournament. So we can talk about that in a second, but it strengthens the case for actual revenue being able to come back to the protocol treasury, or however you design it. Doesn't really matter. It's just that that potential actually stands out in an ecosystem where not a lot of games, not a lot of these metaverse protocols really have any even lightly tangible route to getting to that point. But yeah, sounds like Ryan, you're about to chime in.
Yeah, I was going to say regarding the Delegation V2 piece that a big problem that a lot of games have, a lot of gaming ecosystems have, and that we've been working to address as well, is just that if you're a delegated player or a scholar, you're playing with an item that someone else owns. We're then talking about how do we get people who are earning tokens within the ecosystem to spend those tokens on vertical progression, on things that make the game more fun. If they don't have an item or anything else to spend on, by definition, they're literally going to only be able to sell the token that they're currently earning. So having cheaper entry points, like these S&G wearables that we're talking about, that will be literally close to 100 times cheaper than the ones that we have that are all access for the metaverse. And then things like emotes as well, accessories within the game, things that don't emit tokens, but just something they can spend on, are going to be really important. It's really the only way you can get the two things into balance sustainably long-term, is to have a higher percentage of owners and ensuring that everyone in the ecosystem is able to spend the tokens they're earning and progress towards ownership.
Yeah, and I'll
sorry.
just
Go ahead,
hop
Alex.
in there. Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties, but with the whole play to own philosophy that you guys are trying to push, and we're jumping around a little bit now, but since it came up, what has been the feedback you've received, from founders, from play to earn gamers, or for lack of a better word, play to earn gamers, and the community, your community, and other communities? Has there been a lot of uptake or pushback? You tell me.
You want to take that one, Miles?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, initially, a lot of folks in the community were a bit concerned with its impact or potential impact it would have on our daily active users. But after many discussions, I think we probably discussed it on, 3 or 4 of our roundtables, which we host every 3 weeks or so on Twitter Spaces. It's gotten to a point where I think our community is mostly aligned with the philosophy of play to own. It's just going along with the logic of the fact that, if you don't own any assets and you're earning this token that is meant for upgrading those assets, then you don't really have that much utility other than to just dump it on a DEX. So I think, that's kind of the main philosophy behind this movement from play to earn to play to own. I think we've seen a few other blockchain games explore this model, and I think it will become a lot more popular, as people explore new narratives within the blockchain gaming space. But I think DG is in a really lucrative position, just given the fact that we did have this native delegation system, a dashboard where you can manage all your NFTs that you own in our ecosystem and rent them out to players. We're in a very lucrative position to be able to roll out kind of this update to this play and earn to play and own structure. And so, I think looking forward to getting this live within the next 1 to 2 months. It's going to be really important too, because kind of part of our big push after these 3 initiatives go live, in Q3 is Q4. We're really focused on just onboarding, so user acquisition and retention. And so as a result, I think having a very guided player journey from coming on as a free player. And by the way, we're going to be implementing email login, so can be someone that's has no experience with Web3 or blockchain gaming, come in, create an account with their email, essentially create a wallet for them, just like a Web2 game, and then slowly be introduced to the benefits of custody and NFT ownership with educational content. And so I think that approach really coincides well with a play to own model. As they're kind of learning and earning, and playing, they earn kind of the ownership of an asset, and then they're able to earn tokens where they have actual utility for those tokens. And so, I think, we're definitely making some solid progress and hope to be one of the first games to actually go live with a model like this, and hopefully inspire others to do so too.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The start with the NFT, or earn the NFT first before the tokens, or really, own gain a piece of ownership before you have to decide whether or not to start, selling these more liquid, fungible assets.
Alex, is it possible to present a single slide? Right now, folks are just seeing the whole deck.
Let's. I'm no longer presenting, so Dougie, let's see if Doug can.
Doug, were you able to? I think he's working on it.
All
Yeah,
right.
he's just gonna full screen it.
Continue.
Sure. So we did kind of hop around. So if we go back to the sit and go topic, that's coming out in the next couple of weeks, right, guys? So what do you guys want to tell the audience about sit and go? What are you guys most excited about? What are the token dynamics at play there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Ryan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. And Doug, if you could pull up the sit and go related slide.
Couple slides up.
Present there. But
there we go.
Nice. I mean, you see there. Essentially, like as background, when you're playing ice poker in the metaverse in what we're calling challenge mode, we have to ensure that you're playing for a given amount of time, because we can't have people just come in, play one hand, and end up in the 50th percentile of earnings, because you earn based on how well you did that day. But we also need to guarantee that you've played roughly 50 plus hands. On average, it's about 70 hands, maybe about an hour and a half at the table that people are playing on average. But as a result, the gameplay is a little tighter than it would be maybe a normal poker, and there's some incentive to chase certain types of hands. So we've received the feedback that in order to have a poker game that's play and own, where people are earning via this challenge mode, we have sacrificed something around the core poker gameplay. With sit and goes, you're competing with escalating blinds against 5 other people at the table. And so you're coming in, playing for about 45 minutes to an hour in order to earn badges. And these badges can be redeemed for things like wearables, moats, and ice tokens with different expected values, where with this mechanism, we're encouraging people to own there as well. So you spend ice, burn ice to shine your wearables. We're calling them shines. And those shines are entries to these tournaments, which can be played both in the metaverse, in Decentraland, but also on our progressive web app, PWA. Think of it like a website, but you can also have it on your app home screen on your phone on iOS or the other one.
Android.
Android, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
one
an
of
iOS user, as you can tell. Those guys. But in any case, like we think the game's going to be a lot more fun. Even in this bear market, the ice wearables trade for about $800 a piece right now. So the floor's actually held up quite well as we approach about 13,000 ETH in sales there. That's still a really high barrier to entry to welcome someone in the way that we are intending to and trying to incentivize them to come in. So if your option is spend $800 on this wearable or enter as a delegated player, for a lot of people, that access point is just too high. S&G wearables are closer to $12 at the moment because they're 1,000 ice, and ice is 1.2 cents. So $12 versus 800 is just a dramatic reduction in that barrier. And then we want to have ways for people to earn those via free play as well, as Miles was discussing. And then you might progress towards having an all-access wearable that emits ice after playing S&Gs for a long period of time. So this is one of many paths that we have in store to onboard people to sort of full ownership, but we very much view owning one of these S&G wearables as owning an item, as being an NFT owner, and we'll be trying to grow that community as well. So hopefully that answers the question, but think of it as a new game mode, a new platform, and a new path to ownership.
It does sound great. It sounds like giving the players different options, directing them to what they want to do, and what kind of poker they want to play, right? Is always a great option. Doug, if you move on to the next screen, we'll just talk about this, which is obviously one of all of the different token sinks we've been talking about. They've all been to address this issue that's presented, and token inflation is not new to the ecosystem, but it is definitely an issue for a lot of different games, and we talked about delegation v2 already, but how impactful do you think delegation v2, for example? You guys had said that in a different call, I believe, that it's expected to entirely address, turn the token entirely net deflationary. And that sounds incredible. And that's the type of thing that we should be chasing, especially in play to earn games, play to own games as well. So is that based off of some sort of projection forecast, or how exactly does that come in?
Yeah, so taking that one, the inflation of the token is really a function of how much is being earned and how much is being burned. So in the past, you can see from October to February, even as daily active users were increasing exponentially, the supply of the ICE token was decreasing. So it's really not a function of the number of players necessarily. It's a function of the burn and earn that you have at that many players. That makes sense. So at that point, from October through, say, February, roughly where you see there, we were burning more ICE than was being emitted in spite of DAUs growing. Now, since then, we've paused mints and we've incentivized stacking of wearables, which have decreased the emission rate and improved the burn to earn, but it's still below 1-to-1. So still every day, more tokens are being emitted than are being burned. So we've just seen this slow climb in the rate there. So that's definitely the case. But in projecting it out, we do think that delegation v2 as an immediate impact will highly incentivize delegated players to burn ICE, to spend ICE that they've earned on their first wearable, whether it's an S&G wearable or an all access wearable. And the modeling on that is just based on the majority of ICE being earned by these delegated players, and then all of that being sold because they don't have a way to spend it. So we've modeled out some numbers around what we expect to be sold, what we expect to be spent, and we do think it will make the difference and balance things out. But between delegation v2 and these S&Gs, which will be deflationary as well, we'll have to see exactly what the impact is, but have designed those variables to reach that sort of 1-to-1. And then the DAO will be able to vote on those things as well. So at this point, it's just a forecast, and we can never promise exactly what the behavior will be, but that's what we're targeting.
That's great. If we move on to the next slide, Kel, why don't you take this one, question 5.
Yeah, so as the slide shows, we see that it's 26% of the wallets earning ICE in Q2 actually rented out their wearable. So do you think that's a good balance, bad balance? How do you think it affects the overall economy? And how do you think the different things we've been talking about will factor into this and change it one way or the other?
I'm trying to understand this chart. Miles, do you get it?
Yes, I'm trying to understand it too. So 25% of the wallets earning ICE, that means that only 20 or 26% of the wallets earning ICE were owners that rented out their wearables. I think it should be much higher, actually.
Okay, yeah, so it basically shows we took the number of unique wallets per day, earning ice, and then broke it into the proportion that is earning ice through playing the game, and then the percent that like has delegated wearables, and so that came out to 26%.
Got it. So basically, I feel like this might not be. This is definitely not a way we've ever thought about the data. Just because you're comparing like, 6,000 daily active users of the game. Some of them are NFT owners and some aren't. And then there's like 4,000 wearable holders. Some of those are players. Some of those are delegating the wearables. So this is kind of conflating like owners of wearables owning either by. So this stat that you have here is owners earning by any mechanism divided by total wallets earning.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
Yeah. So I guess I see what you're saying, because it's only 4,000 wearables, and it's going to be a small percentage, right?
15,000 wearables, 4,000 owners, but yes.
Right.
15,000 wearables, 4,000 owners. And so, yes, 80% of them are 1 to 4 wearables. We think that's a great distribution. We really think it's important that we don't have these mega guilds who own a huge amount of supply. 15,000 wearables and 4,000 owners is about 4 apiece.
Right.
And that's a mean. So it's shifted towards the piece, but it feels like it should be a bit higher if all those 4,000 are earning divided by like maybe 8,000 or 9,000 in the ecosystem total. But rather than discuss like the exact percentage, I think the point stands that what we're trying to optimize for is that we want the people playing the game. So like if there's 6,000 daily active users, what percent of them own the wearable they're playing with? That's a metric that we're definitely trying to increase, and we think it's too low right now. So getting to the point that the crux of what this slide is saying, agree with the notion that like we should be trying to raise the percentage of people who are earning ice that have a wearable to spend that ice on, or an avenue for them to spend the ice on. We want to continue to increase NFT ownership percentage among players for sure.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah. Nice.
And Doug, if we move on to the next slide. So this was actually a really interesting chart that I found. I found interesting that average ice earned per daily active user was rising, while the hands per daily active user was falling. And it sounds like a great option for players, right? It sounds like they're making more ice per hand. And I'm just curious, like, what is driving this dynamic?
Yeah, so the two variables driving this are that we have reduced the length of the challenges. So by design, we've made it so that you can complete the challenges playing fewer hands, just because if it's February and you're earning $20 a day playing for 2 hours, and now you're earning $6 or $7 a day, we thought that it was reasonable to kind of reduce the time target, which we can do by just saying you need to, this is a real governance proposal, you need to hit 2 of a kind 5 times instead of 7 times. You need to get 1 full house instead of 2, stuff like that. And then the ice earned is a function of wearable stacking. So we had more daily active users back in February, March, as we saw on the previous slide, but we really heavily incentivize people stacking their wearables. So if you have 15,000 items, you could have 15,000 players in theory, max. But on average, we have people stacking now 2+ wearables. And because they're stacking them, as in playing with multiple, people are earning more ice. So the additional ice is a function of people wearing additional items into the game.
Got it. Yeah, it sounds like it's something that rewards people who are kind of doing what was supposed to happen. Stacking your wearables, upgrading your wearables, playing with your NFT, and then really investing in them.
Yeah, absolutely. So by design.
Yeah. Doug, let's move on to the next slide here. And I think, Kelly, you could take this one away.
Yeah, so we briefly talked about it in the beginning of the call, but we've talked about the sit and go on one side of your sort of development roadmap in terms of onboarding players, and then we have the Ice Poker Flex, on another side. So just curious to hear your thoughts here as to why this is an initiative in the first place, what you think it'll do for the ecosystem, so on and so forth.
Yes, I can take this one. So Ice Poker Flex has been in development pretty much since the start of the year, I would say, more heavily kind of leaned into it in Q2. And it was mainly just spawned out of the desire to scale outside of just Decentraland. Decentraland is a great option for us for providing metaverse poker, but we really wanted to target just anyone, anywhere in the world, and be accessible via smartphone, just because a lot of folks in the world don't have access to like a desktop computer. So yeah, that's kind of like was the main thinking around Ice Poker Flex as a platform. And so the launch that we have next week, which will feature Ice Poker Flex, is actually going to be featuring Ice Poker SNG on Ice Poker Flex. So it'll be the sit and go Flex, kind of like the two projects kind of merged into one launch. And so we wanted to launch initially with SNGs on Flex because it addresses kind of the main issue that we, as well as other games right now, are experiencing, which is emissions. And so SNGs by definition is deflationary, just given the fact you have to burn tokens to mint a wearable. You can use all existing wearables, but then to add shine, you have to constantly burn more ice. And so we do expect it to, be highly deflationary just as its own kind of game mode immediately, upon launch. So yeah, that's kind of why, we went forward with this like kind of launch strategy, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing what the community thinks. So like we've had a lot of successful test sessions with our closed alpha group, which is around 50 players from the community over the last like month or two. And open beta is launching within 1 to 2 weeks. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, so it seems like there's definitely a focus on your guys' end on really like lowering barriers to entry for users. I feel like that's been a common theme both here with Delegation V2, with Sit and Go, and all these different things. So I think that's definitely a good theme in general. The more people playing your game, the more revenues you can generate and all that different stuff. And you're lowering barriers to entry really in multiple ways, both from like a user experience perspective and from a price perspective. And I don't think you really see both of those very often. So I think that's definitely really good.
Yep, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, so Doug, if you scroll over to the next the roadmap slide, yep. And actually, before we even go into this, about the Flex app, the web app. So that's not an actual app, right, in the App Store. That's directly through whatever browser. It's a browser-based app.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be launched as a PWA. So you can play it in any mobile browser. We wanted to do this to kind of circumvent any App Store politics with regards to NFTs and crypto, and allow anyone to just save it to their home screen as like as an app, regardless of what platform they're using for their mobile device. So we thought that proof of concept with the PWA would be best way to get it to market as soon as possible, and then we do have plans to make a more native mobile app experience following the launch of the PWA.
Sounds great. Maybe you could get it on the Solana phone first.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So looking at this product roadmap, what else are you guys really excited for here? There's a lot on it, obviously. It's probably the community is probably really excited to see a lot of these things come into place. But what's next? I see that Ice Poker, the player leveling system. But you tell me, what is going to be really impactful?
Yeah, so I mean, for Q3, it's pretty clear like what our focus is, in those three kind of pillars that we feel will really put us in a really solid position from an economics perspective, and prepare us for growth again. But yeah, the thing that I'm most excited for, I would say, I'm obviously excited for these three initiatives: Ice Poker Flex, SNG, and Delegation V2. And by the way, Delegation V2 we feel is going to have such a profound impact that we're on the ecosystem. We're calling it the Ice Merge. And so, but yeah, we obviously are very excited for those three things. But in Q4, as you can see at the top of this page, the main theme is onboarding upgrades and ecosystem growth. And so as Ryan stated earlier on the call, we stopped minting wearables just because we wanted to focus on improving the economics in game and ensuring that they're more sustainable. And so as a result, we kind of had to sacrifice growth. So that obviously wasn't great in the short term, but we do feel that by doing that, we were able to make these modifications and optimizations to our in-game economy that will really prepare us for this next leg of growth, kind of starting in Q4 this year. So yeah, really excited for that. And it's basically, it's going to be entirely based around just building a free-to-play experience that's easy to onboard. Don't have to have crypto experience or wallet experience or private key management experience at all. Onboard like a simple, fun game that's similar to any Web2 game out there, and then slowly kind of educate the user into the benefits of Web3. And I think this model will be the true unlock for the blockchain gaming space. And I think there's a few games that have been able to successfully do this on a decent scale, but none of them has been able to achieve the level of scale that we've seen in terms of like DAU on like a popular mobile Web2 game. And so I think once we're able to implement these upgrades in Q3 and improve onboarding a bit throughout Q4, I think we'll be in a really good place to focus on the next massive leg of growth for DG.
That's great. And I can't imagine a better game to really onboard so many users other than poker, something so widely distributed as poker, Texas Hold'em, for that matter. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Definitely.
I mean, with the launch of the product, we focused a lot on having this delegation experience, on having a really fleshed out Unity-based the game development software in the metaverse 3D experience, and got that out in October, had a lot of success based on it, got to 5-figure DAUs, but it wasn't by itself the right path to get to millions of users, right? So it's kind of funny, a lot of games in the space are talking about how they have a mobile version, but they want to build in the metaverse over the next few years. We're going in the opposite direction, of course, building our own native experience within Flex, and then those people could then be onboarded into the metaverse. You kind of have to think about it like, how can you remove as many of these points of friction as possible? It's already really hard to onboard people into crypto games. Like if I'm telling one of my friends, cousins, parents, it's like, all right, get MetaMask. It's already kind of hard. Set up Polygon, comes natively now. You're gonna have to hop into Decentraland. Don't just onboard to our game, our ecosystem, which means coming into the Discord to find delegation or buying an NFT, but onboard to Decentraland as well. And so the step that we're removing here, the two steps, of course, are accessibility. So now you don't have to also onboard onto Decentraland. And then I guess you could say price accessibility as well, as you mentioned. But going further, how do we onboard people onto the game and then onboard them onto crypto? Because still in Q3, in order to participate, you're going to need to be crypto native or onboarded to crypto. So just going step by step. It's a fun game. Play the game, then onboard to crypto. Play on mobile, Then once you are invested in the ecosystem, participating in the community on Discord, it's much easier to sell to say, come to one of our events in Decentraland. We have this DJ playing. We have this artist's work on display. And then once they come in, they see the tables there. Perhaps they want to play in the metaverse. So that path is a more natural one, a more natural progression to ultimately this fully fledged 3D experience.
Yeah, that does sound like it would just be a much easier way to onboard than all the steps you described
Yes.
before. Yeah, and actually that brings me to another question. Do you need a wallet to play on the native or like the web app, or can you just cash out to a wallet?
You need a wallet because you have to hold an NFT. And in terms of
Right.
cashing out, you have to have a wallet to have like an account right across the Web3 space at the moment. So
Right.
in order to be earning badges that are tied to something, in order to have shine. But in Q4, as we think about this free-to-play experience, then no. In order to earn tokens, yes, you'll need a wallet. In order to play the game, you won't need a wallet next quarter.
Got it.
Yeah, but we've integrated a wallet provider that's supports people onboarding just via email. So you create the wallet for them as they sign up via email, essentially.
Okay, cool. So for the people who really want the easy button, you guys got that.
Yep, exactly.
It's automatic.
Just real quick follow-up question on that. How does it work in terms of, so like, let's say I log in with my email. Do I still, can I still be rewarded tokens that like maybe I can figure out how to withdraw, when I graduate into the intermediate level of crypto university, if you will, and I can actually handle my own wallet? Or like how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. Like you'll have access to that, signing messages and sending transactions from that wallet. So you could technically, use it to swap. You could use it to, upgrade wearables. Basically do whatever you want with the tokens that you're earning in that wallet.
Okay.
Yeah, and cool. we're gonna try to, obviously for this player journey, onboarding through email and kind of, as like someone that's not really familiar with Web3, like we're gonna really try to make it as easy as possible to like learn, the basics and kind of realize the benefits, of ownership.
Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, did you guys mention which was the wallet provider? Or has that been announced yet, or for the email one? I haven't heard of it before.
We're gonna use Fortmatic for the email one, and then we also have Wallet Connect support. But that's obviously if you have an existing wallet like on MetaMask or another wallet supported by Wallet Connect. But yeah, the email one will be Fortmatic.
Got it. Cool. Cal, I think we have one last question if you want to just take it away.
Yeah, so looking forward, and we've talked a lot about, the developments that you guys have in mind for the next couple of quarters, but on a more macro scale, I guess, as we look towards, potentially another bull market maybe in specific sub-markets or who knows how it's going to, no one knows the answer to those types of questions. But, as we look to your ecosystem, we've talked a lot about different types of customer acquisition strategies, such as lowering barriers to entry and onboarding mobile users. Are those really the two main ones that you guys have in mind, or are there, other strategies that you see being beneficial, as another wave of crypto adoption comes in?
Yeah, I'm taking that one.
Go for it, Ryan.
I'm sure all of us and for people listening, people ask like, what is the point of NFTs? Why should I buy an NFT? What problem is it solving? They point to profile picture projects, which I actually think are valuable and provide a sense of community, but people don't see that as, solving like a real world tech problem, for example. And there are tons of areas where NFTs and blockchain are solving problems for businesses. Won't enumerate them now, but we really think the biggest unlock as a metaverse game development DAO is that gaming is going to onboard hundreds of millions of people onto crypto, because the use case there is just so huge that people care about the ownership of digital assets, carrying their identity around through things like ENS domains, items that they can, flex or use within a game. And so, yeah, we think the big unlock is going to be that the games that allow you to actually own items within them are strictly better than the games that don't allow for ownership, where when you buy something within the game, a skin or a gun or something, it's immediately worth zero. It has no resale value. It'll be a reason for gamers to play one game over another, and a reason for gamers who enjoy a game. You've got to have a fun game in the first place to onboard to crypto, as we were just describing, because perhaps you're playing and earning tokens in the background, but until you actually get familiar with managing your wallet through Fortmatic, Wallet Connect, MetaMask, etc., you're not able to, let's say, level up. You need to actually have some familiarity to progress through the game. So, of course, that's our perspective, given that we build games. The gaming will be the major driver of crypto adoption for the next few years. Miles?
Yep.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said better.
Miles on the same page as you would expect.
Yeah, I was on the same page, and like just to kind of continue that note, we have a very interesting approach to like some of the partnered rollouts over the next several months, just because we have slightly different economics for some of these partnerships where we can do drops of wearables, of SNG wearables, to holders of a specific community and onboard them directly into our ecosystem. And so we do feel that partnering with these communities is just such a win-win, because they obviously have a bunch of existing kind of community members that are familiar with Web3 also, and have a reach to those folks and a comms channel to those folks. And we have, as Ryan said, like a highly utility based game ecosystem that is appealing to folks that have these communities that don't have utility necessarily. And so yeah, we're really looking forward to announcing some of these partnerships, getting some custom SNG wearables out in the hands of these communities to onboard them into Ice Poker.
That sounds great, and I'm looking forward to onboarding myself as well.
We should do a Messari SNG wearable. That'd be great.
Oh, that'd be huge.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a mascot, or it could be like a hat or a shirt that says
maybe
we'll have to think about that one. I think our social media head.
Maybe it should be Ryan's head, like on his Twitter profile, like with the South Park.
Yeah.
He'd
appreciate that.
Hilarious.
Do you mean the ape head or like my face? Because I don't know.
No, not Ryan. Not Ryan. Ryan, CEO of Messari.
Selkis. Ryan Selkis. Yeah, he's our mascot, actually. Honestly,
he is.
So he's a spokesperson for sure.
Oh, we'll do that. I know what you mean now. The South Park style head.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, he still has it as his profile pic. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's changing anytime soon.
Good.
Well, yeah, thank you guys for jumping in with us and talking about Q2. A lot of exciting things planned ahead for Q3. Where should people, come to find more information about Decentral Games and what's new?
I would say, we're pretty active on Twitter, in our Discord, and our newsletter, which is every Sunday we put out a development update, just kind of detailing all the different things that our team has worked on that week. So, yep, every Sunday you can find it. You can sign up on our website. So, yeah,
that's something that is really impressive, actually, is the amount of transparency and communication with your community, between the roundtable calls and the newsletter on every week. That's something that we hope to see more of from other DAOs and gaming DAOs as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, until next time.
Thanks for having us, guys. Take care.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And I'll just one last thing. Messari mainnet will be this coming up on this end of September, and we hope to. We have actually a $300 discount that will be posted in the chat, and if anybody is interested, to go check that out.